Brother lads, welcome back to Cossy Podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to brand new video. This is a new episode and we call it Rival Watch. We'll be diving into all the business our big rivals are doing in the market. Now, if you love this episode, if you love this section on the channel, type in the comment section, yes, Cossy, go ahead with Rival Watch. But if you don't like hearing anything about other clubs, just type no, right? Let's hit the like button. Let's get this one to 500. But if you don't like it, just say no in the comment box below. If you like it, say yes, and we'll be diving into some of the deals, some of the business our rivals are doing in the market. Now, let's start off with Manchester United. United have had issues with money this summer. I think the takeover is actually affecting them, but they've signed Mason Mount from Chelsea for a fee reported to be £60 million. 55 in guaranteed payments and 5 in add-ons. Mason Mount is a Manchester United player. Erik ten Hag was pushing for the deal. He only wanted Mason Mount, and Mason Mount only wanted Man United as well. Now, the player was threatening not to sign a new deal with Chelsea, as far as I understand, and his contract was actually running down in 2024. So it was either they Chelsea sell him this summer, or they actually lose him for free in the next one. And they've made a very, very smart decision to sell him in this summer and make sure that they can get some profit and be on the good side of the financial fair play rule. But one thing I'll commend Chelsea in here is the money they've got from Mason Mount. Mason Mount going for 60 million. 60 million. 1 year left on his deal. 60 million. It's unbelievable. And Man United, I don't think they've done a bad deal. I think it's a very, very good deal, given the fact that Erik ten Hag has got that ability to transform players into world beaters levels. And I think Mason Mount has got that ability to be a very, very good signing and a very good player. So Chelsea, you give them the credit for getting the maximum resources they could out of Mason Mount. But I think Manchester United eventually got their man. Now, he's a signing that eventually, of course, we'll get into the starting 11, replacing Christian Eriksen, Fred and Scott McTominay on that left-hand side of the midfield. So you have Casemiro now, Mason Mount, and Bruno Fernandes. That's a good one. I mean, that's a very, very good midfield. I think what Mason Mount brings to Man United is the speed, the relentless pressing, the goals, the assists, but also a player that has the character I admire a lot, a player who never gives up. Mason Mount is one player that doesn't give up in games. Like the way we've seen Bruno Fernandes, throw his hands up in the air when Man United are conceding 6-7. I don't think that is what Mason Mount is all about, and they've got such a very good deal, right? Not a very good deal financially, but a very good deal in terms of a young player. Chelsea, through and through, and many Chelsea fans will think like they will go, this is a betrayal, but I think Mason Mount has decided to pick himself over the club, right? The club is in absolute turmoil, so you'd rather leave early than suffer the consequences. Man United are also looking at Andre Onana as one of the other as the goalkeeper to replace David De Gea. They have a few issues with David De Gea, but I really, really think Onana will be such a wonderful signing. Now, the next one is Tottenham Hotspur. They're also moving very well in the market. They've done 3 signings already. They brought in a new goalkeeper to replace Hugo Lloris. Now, I think they've not signed the goalkeeper at Brentford, David Raya, and I think that's a mistake. I really, really think that's a mistake. When Ange Postecoglou had just come in, he said, that guy is good. How about you get me David Raya? And, Spurs worked tirelessly towards signing David Raya, but somehow, somewhere, they have failed to get the deal done. Now, the new goalkeeper is not actually a very popular one. He's been playing in Italy. Hopefully, he's going to be a very good one because goalkeepers in Italy have that track record of being very strong and very, very reliable. So that's a deal that we will see in the first season or in the first few seasons as well. But the big one is that Maddison has gone to Tottenham Hotspur in a £40 million deal. James Maddison is a Tottenham Hotspur player. This is a player that Arsenal have wanted for quite some time. He's a player that I thought would eventually end up playing for Arsenal. You know the way Mikel Arteta signed for Arsenal? Like, he eventually ended up at Arsenal. I thought James Maddison would eventually end up at Arsenal, but it has not actually happened like that. He's gone to rivals Tottenham Hotspur in a £40 million deal. If they keep Harry Kane, this is a very good deal. This is a very good deal, because much of the time last campaign Harry Kane has been dropping deeper, creating chances for the likes of Dejan Kulusevski, Son, Richarlison and all these other players. So he's been a creator as well as their leading goal scorer. What James Maddison does, he adds something that has not been existing in that Tottenham Hotspur midfield: creativity. You look at Rodrigo Bentancur, not the best creator in your squad. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, not the best creator in your squad. You look at all the midfielders, Oliver Skip, Bissouma, those are not creative players. Actually, ever since losing Christian Eriksen, they have not got a creative player. A player who has the ability to create 10 chances per game, 5 big chances per game, 3 big chances per 90. I think now they have in James Maddison. So if they keep Kane and add James Maddison, that is a very, very good deal. Now, they're also on the verge of signing Maynard Solomon on a free deal from Shakhtar Donetsk. He will sign for them, I think, in a 5-year deal. That's not a bad deal. We've seen Maynard Solomon for Fulham last campaign, coming in and throwing some coins and scoring some exciting goals. Good player. If you add Maynard Solomon to Kulusevski, to Richarlison, to Huminson, I think your wide areas are really well sorted, in my opinion, all right? Okay, Liverpool then. Liverpool have signed Dominic Szoszlai for a reported 70 million euros. Release clause has been triggered before the 30th of June. Now, despite the fact that I would have celebrated if Arsenal signed Dominic Szoszlai over Kai Havertz, I don't really understand the meaning of this deal. I'm not yet convinced that Liverpool absolutely needed Dominic Szoszlai in their midfield. Of course, the creativity is one thing that they will need, and he's got that midfield creativity. But I kind of still think that Liverpool's creativity really doesn't come from the midfield unless they're going to change their style. And even if they wanted to, increase creativity, Dominic Szoszlai is not a player that rubs me as a very fantastic signing for Liverpool. I'm not jealous. If you sign for Arsenal, I would understand. One, because we have created that role where Xhaka had played last campaign, and if you put Szoboszlai there, or Szoboszlai actually, the way he pronounces his name, it would have been magnificent. But for Liverpool, they've signed McAllister. They're looking to sign either Romeo Lavia, Kethram Thuram, or Manu Kone. I just don't understand the signing behind spending 70 million euros on Dominic Szoboszlai. Like, it's a deal I don't really understand until I get to see it, until I get to see how Klopp is gonna use him, the system, how it fits in, and all those things. I'm not convinced Dominic Szoboszlai is a very good signing for Liverpool. But you know what a very good signing is for Liverpool? Is Alexis McAllister. Now, that is a good signing. You have a Jordan Henderson in there. You have a Milner in there. You have a Thiago in there. Okay, maybe not a Thiago, really. But, and you have your defensive midfielder and your box-to-box and your central attacking midfielder. I think with McAllister, they went to the gold mine and picked up gold and, walked away. This is an absolute steal for Liverpool. 35 million is an absolute steal for Liverpool. Alexis, for me, Alexis McAllister should be at the same price as Kai Havertz. He should be at the same price as Dominic Szoboszlai. He should be at the same price almost as Declan Rice, in my opinion. So they've got him for 35 million. He's going to be a revelation of a signing. Box to box, attacking. He's going to create chances. He will score goals. I don't think he will take penalties, but he will create penalties and penalty situations. And he's a very good free kick taker as well. So With McAllister, good deal. With Dominic Szoszlai, big player, but I still want to see what's going to happen, right, in terms of formation, setup, before I can be convinced. Newcastle then. Newcastle have signed Tonali for 80 million euros. Okay, 70 million euros, rising to 80 when it comes to add-ons. Newcastle are pretty much satisfied that he is the midfielder they needed. In my opinion, no. He's a big name signing, and he is a statement signing. And I think because they couldn't get Declan Rice, they wanted to go big. They wanted to make a statement signing in this summer. And I really, really do understand. My big question with Newcastle, or to Newcastle, is Sandro Tonali really what they wanted? Tonali is not a defensive midfielder, really. And look, he does a bit of everything, of course. But I don't see him as that guy that sits into that defensive shape or defensive role to allow your Bruno Guimaraes go forward, drum, and create chances in the advanced areas of the pitch. Tonali as well is not your attacking midfielder like Hatim Ben Arfa or Eden Hazard. He's not your typical number 10. Or, now that the Dominic Szoszlai deal doesn't make sense, the Tonali one really doesn't make sense for me. Because I think they needed two midfielders. One, they needed one that is really defensive, like the way Arsenal signed Declan Rice. Okay? So I thought they would have looked at Romeo Lavia. They could have looked at Zubimendi at Real Sociedad, Edson Alvarez, Amrabat, that profile of players, okay? Or even the likes of Kefren Thuram or Manu Kone. I really think they should have looked at that profile, okay? And then the other, they should have looked at a straight creative midfielder, like James Maddison in that number 10 role. James Maddison, you could think about Szoboszlai. Actually, Szoboszlai makes more sense to Newcastle than he makes sense to Liverpool, in my opinion. Like, to be honest, okay? But Tonali, good money, good player. I think if you combine Tonali with Bruno Guimaraes, you still need a defensive midfielder, right? But you can do away with the traditional number 10. Bruno Guimaraes can play for you on that right hand side in that pocket of number 8 pocket, and then Tonali can play on the left hand side in the number 8 pocket. Their creativity, they will have to improve, but not bad players. So Tonali, I agree with Newcastle going with the statement signing, but Tonali overpay maybe. I'm not really convinced. Chelsea have really sold everyone, and they're still selling. Of the 11 players that started for Chelsea in the UEFA Champions League final in 2021 against Manchester City, only one is left. That is Thiago Silva. The rest of them, I believe, have been sold, right? And they're still selling. But Chelsea have signed Nicholas Jackson. They have triggered his release clause of around 35 million euros. I think 35 million euros, okay? And it's a deal done. Now, Chelsea have always suffered with the number 9 role. They've always suffered, incompetency and absolute inadequacy of skill in terms of appointing and finding a person who can sign strikers for them. Actually, Chelsea have not signed a real striker, a good striker, for like a decade. They've not signed a successful striker. They've not had a successful number 9 signing in a decade. And I'm going to tell you this right on my camera. Nicholas Jackson is going to be a total fail if Chelsea have signed him as a number 9. Like, how on earth have they decided to sign a guy who scored 10 goals in 10 games at the end of the season? But it's Chelsea, isn't it? Chelsea and their striker problems. This one won't work. Nicholas Jackson, that one won't work. But you know what will work is if they get Moises Caicedo. They're in talks to sign Moises Caicedo with Brighton. And if they can get it over the line, Caicedo would push Enzo Fernandez a little bit further. He would allow him roam in the midfield. He would allow him have the liberty to do all those, fantastic things in midfield. Actually, Moises Caicedo and his profile is what Newcastle needed, not Sandro Tonali. Right? So I think, Caicedo is going to be very, very important for them, especially after losing N'Golo Conte. If they sign Moises Caicedo, it means one or two things. One, that you have a defensive midfielder who can, back Enzo Fernandez, but then you also have a player who can carry the ball to Enzo Fernandez in the final third. We've seen what Enzo Fernandez is good at, those, good passes, seeing the different picture, like he's your Kovacic, young version of Kovacic, despite the fact that he's Argentine and Kovacic is Croatian. Talking about Kovacic, Manchester City have signed Kovacic for 30 million euros. What do these guys want? What exactly do they want? They've signed Kovacic, and I reckon Kovacic signs for Pep Guardiola as a replacement for Ilkay Gundogan. That is what I reckon, okay? And it's a smart deal. It's really a smart deal. I don't think he's your Ilkay Gundogan. I don't think he's the guy that scores you clutch goals. I don't think he's the guy that creates you those crazy amounts of chances. But I think, for me as a football fan, this is the ultimate decider of what exactly is the true nature of Kovacic. How good is Kovacic? Because he's been at Real Madrid, and I didn't understand him. Then he came to Chelsea, quality you could see. I didn't understand him. So at Manchester City, I'll try to watch and see what he's good at. But I can't say it's a good signing. I can't say it's a bad one. But the good one is that Man City are on the verge of signing Josko Gvardiol for 100 million. They get that one done. I think they're trying to do the unbeaten run, aren't they? They're trying to do the unbeaten run. But of course, no one is going to replicate the unbeaten run ever. No one is going to do the unbeaten run ever. Not even Arsenal. We will never do it again. It will never happen again. The treble, I think Arsenal will do the treble like in 20 years. We'll do the treble sometime. We'll win the Premier League with 71 points. We will run away with the UEFA Champions League, and we will run away with the FA Cup as well. Like just stealing. We will win the treble. But with the unbeaten run, it's never going to happen again. So Josko Gvardiol, I think they're losing Aymeric Laporte, and they want to consolidate. Now, the fact that Pep is playing more of a back four, he's playing 4 centre-backs. He would play Josko Gvardiol, Nathan Ake, Ruben Diaz, and John Stones. This guy is crazy. But anyway, that is Rival Watch. If you love the episode, let me know in the comment box below by saying, yes, we love the episode. Keep it up. If you don't love it, you will never see it again.